Well, we'll move straight to Abuja, where we'll be talking more about the news just in about the increase in tariff. And I'm being joined by Mr. Adetayo Adegbemile, who is an energy expert, to speak more around this. Mr. Adetayo, it's good to see you. It's been a while.
Hello, good afternoon. Yes, it's been a while.
Why we are meeting today where we hear that tariffs have been increased again. I want to ask you, do you think this is justifiable considering the economic situation the country?
Oh, well, I don't know how to justify it, but I like to try and focus a bit more on the naira and kobo of the business. Since privatization, government influence and government hands has been propping the industry. So we've had so many years of subsidy. Now, what that means, and like I try to use this analogy all the time, it's like you having a bakery and you go to the market to buy flour, to buy butter, to buy all the ingredients you need to make your bread. And somebody said, oh, you have a wonderful bread, but because our people are hungry or because our people cannot afford it, be selling the bread at 200 naira, we'll be supplementing with 300 naira. That's where the subsidy comes from. We have had years of, our people cannot afford this, so government has been subsidizing. But the problem with subsidy is that even government on its own has not been able to keep up with the payment. So we have a lot of underwriting going on. I mean, we have the MDA debts that are there. So people use and they don't pay. So basically what we now have, the result of that subsidy is that like everything that happens to when you're subsidizing consumption, it's being wasted. You cannot account for who is taking what. And even people that don't need much will decide to, keep their lights on when they don't need it. I mean, there are a lot of other issues, societal issues that, comes with it. But the ultimate end of it is that the businessmen that are trying to put in their money to invest are not being able to run the system as efficiently as possible. And the issue of this subsidy removal, I'm sure those that follows my activity will also know that I spent the major part of end of Q4 last year and since beginning of this year till now, talking about how unsustainable electricity subsidy, tariff subsidy has been. So we had a situation where billions of dollars. I mean, on the average before, we used to spend about 80 billion to subsidize electricity consumption across the country. But now the figure has gone from 80 billion to about 250 billion per month, and the estimated value for this year alone is about between 1.6 and 2 trillion, depending on what the dollar rate, the foreign exchange rate is doing. So bottom line is that it is not been sustainable. It is the carrying over of the subsidy and inefficiency of the subsidy that is affecting and keeps holding the power sector back. So, first of all, the last administration came and said we can't continue to pay it, and gradually, I think as at December 2022, they've removed almost 90% of the subsidy that we have on electricity tariff, and the idea was to phase it out completely until this government came and said, "Oh, we've harmonized, we've removed the window we've harmonized the foreign exchange window. So there's only one, it increased it. They removed first subsidy, it increased it. So the last part where they're supposed to remove the last end of the subsidy that was existing coincided with that period. So government said, no, don't remove the subsidy. Unfortunately for all of us, the macroeconomic factors that determines the cost of electricity, they didn't stop. I mean, dollar went from about the official rate that the last tariff review was done was about 440. Today we are speaking about dollar that went as high as 19, and it's coming down to, I think as of today, is about 1.2 something or 1.3 something. So look at that figure from 400 to about 1.3 today in dollars. Incidentally, recently too, about a couple of days ago, the cost of gas was also increased. So we have an increment of about $0.5, on gas for local consumption for our Gencos. Where are we going to get all that money from if we refuse the market to charge the right price? How are we going to stand up and demand, how will I put it, demand for quality of service? So all these questions are the questions that I believe we need to ask. Because whatever we do, okay, I'll give you an instance. My hotel, they used to sell one bottle of water for 200 naira. Now, as at last night, when they served it about 400 naira. Not because I can afford it, but I've taken the water, I bought the food. I have to pay. You understand? So I think that is where we need to focus our attention on. How profitable is the business of electricity? From the point of inputs, our gas supplies, our thermal plants, we have about 80% of the plants, generating companies that we have in the country, are thermal plants that are powered by gas. So there is a cost of input from gas. We generate, we transfer it to transmission, we bring it to distribution. We presently still have about 48% loss along the line. So what it means is that even if we collect all the money for the power supplied, we will still be owing people that are generating and are buying gas. We'll still be owing gas suppliers. So those are the salient questions I believe we should be asking ourselves instead of asking about economic. Yeah, it's also part of economic situation, quite all right. But should we carry, because we believe we can continue to step on price of electricity, or we can continue to control it or throttle it? Does that mean that the economy itself is not affecting that sector? No. So we should look at it from that perspective rather than it's a banana and cover business.
I like that breakdown, and that argument has been on for some time. Cost reflective tariff. That's been the argument of most of the distribution companies. But some would also ask that.
I know you are my senior, my father, chief. It's part of the conversation you always have on this your program. So anytime he comes here, it makes the point of duty to point out that this cost and electricity is not properly charged.
Exactly.
Now, it takes a lot of understanding. Yes, it takes a lot of understanding, right, to break it down. And unfortunately, if you look at the factors that goes into pricing of electricity, we have the inflation rate, which as of today stands about 30-something%. We have dollar. Again, like I said, the last review, which pegged our average tariff at 68 naira present as at day before yesterday or yesterday, which pegs at 68 naira. That rate was done when dollar was 440 naira officially per dollar. Then we have other factors. The cost of generation, cost of transportation, through TC and everything. All these are factors that are put in. None of those factors remains the same as we speak. So if at 68 naira average, we are still complaining about cost reflective tariff, what do you think is happening now when everything has, tripled?
So, because I think we're still going to have this conversation again so that we have more time, because I have a lot of questions to ask you. But before I let you go today, do you think that this would help bring the expected stability, increasing megawatts of power at the end of the day when this is fully implemented? And what about the other bands, band B, C, and all of that? Are we expecting an increase?
Good. All right. First of all, I think what we should pass on immediately, right here and now, is that there are a lot of things to unpack in this supplementary tariff order that's released today and that goes into effect today. One of it is that the increment only affects the band A customers, and these band A customers are the customers that have at the minimum 20 hours of power supply per day. That is one. So it is not an increment that affects every band. If you are on band B, if you don't have up to 20 hours per day supply power per day, this does not affect you. That is one. Two, Initially, we have about over 800 feeders across the country that are on band A, that the discos identified to be on band A, which means that those band A, those feeders will have a minimum of 800, a minimum of 20 hours of power supply per day. Now, what NERC has done is to do an audit of these feeders, and out of the 800, less than 500 of them qualify to be a band A feeder. So that's part of the things that consumers should also be on the lookout for. And part of the things that we're also trying to, what part we are trying to push for now is that NERC should publish the list of these feeders, so that if you wrongly identify me as a band A customer and I don't receive up to 20 hours per day, I can easily flag it with the discos and with the regulators. And I'm sure that adjustments will be made on it. Part of the things that I also understand, because I happened to witness part of the press conference today where NERC made the announcement, is that the discos have been asked to create task forces or task forces within themselves that attend to any challenge within 48 hours, within 2 days. And any feeder that does not have up to 20 hours of power supply per day for 7 consecutive days will be automatically downgraded. So the tariff increment to 225 per kilowatt hour for band A customers is not even automatic. So if a disco is not able to maintain your band, your band A supply for 7 consecutive days, that such feeder is automatically downgraded to band B. So those are the provisions that have been put into these things. Now, to the other question, this tariff increment does not affect other bands. It only affects selected band A feeders, not even all the band A's feeders that the discos identified. These are band A feeders that have been confirmed. And I must also say that what NERC also told us in that press conference is that they have technologies to monitor those feeders by themselves. So it's not just the report from the discos. So if you have any challenge with your feeder and you're not getting your band A this thing, you can also write, and the NERC can also have an independent means of verifying that feeder has not done the minimum of 20 hours per day.
For today, Mr. Adetayo Adegbemile, energy analyst, we are going to continue this discussion. I will talk off camera.
Absolutely.
We need to make Nigerians understand this. Thank you so much for your time. Despite the short notice, we're able to bring you on the program. Thank you.